All right, let's dive right in. We've got a thought experiment for you today that honestly, it seems pretty simple at first. But trust me, this thing spirals out into some massive questions about reality, consciousness, everything really. And it all kicks off with just one simple question. So, here it is. Imagine you could actually travel at the speed of light. What would that feel like? I mean, what would you experience? Is it just nothing? A complete blank, like you're in a deep, dreamless sleep? Or is it something way weirder? Something more like a crazy, vivid dream? Okay, let's just get this out of the way. We know this is totally impossible, right? You can't actually travel at light speed. But that's what makes it such a great question. It sets the stage for this incredible clash of two giant ideas. On one side, you've got the cold, hard laws of physics. And on the other, a completely different way of looking at things, one that's all about the nature of the mind. So let's start with the first side of the argument. This one is planted firmly in what science, what physics tells us about how the universe works. This is the case for, well, for nothingness. The idea that the whole experience would just be like a deep, empty sleep. And the reason for that all comes down to this really wild concept called time dilation. It's a huge part of Einstein's special relativity, and it basically says this: the faster you go through space, the slower you move through time. It's wild, right? And if you could hit the absolute limit, the speed of light, time for you would just stop. It would freeze. You'd hit zero. And from there, it's like a set of dominoes falling. Think about it. If there's no time, then nothing can change, right? And if nothing can change, well, you can't have a sequence of thoughts. And if you can't have thought, you definitely can't have a dream. The logic is just so clean, so powerful. It almost feels airtight. So that's the bottom line from the physics side of things. You don't get some epic, surreal journey through the cosmos. You don't experience anything at all. It's a total absence of experience, a void, just nothingness. And you wouldn't even be aware of it. But what if that whole logical chain is built on one big, flawed assumption? Let's flip this around now and look at the other side of the debate. Because this side comes to a radically different conclusion. This isn't the case for nothingness. This is the case for everything. And here's where we take a huge philosophical leap. The whole counterargument throws a wrench in our most basic idea about reality. See, we usually think our mind is just something our brain does, right? It's a product of biology. But what if we've got it completely backwards? What if the whole universe is actually a function of mind, and our brains are more like antennas, just tuning into it? This really gets to the core of it. Take dreams. We feel like they happen over time, moment by moment. But do they? Or could it be that a whole dream happens in a single instant, and when we wake up, our brain just edits it all together into a story that makes sense? That's the key to the dream argument, the idea that experience doesn't need time to happen. A good way to think about this is a fractal. You know those amazing, infinitely complex patterns? The whole thing exists all at once. When you zoom in, you're not changing it, you're just revealing more of what was already there. Well, this model says reality is just like that. It's a finished, timeless whole. And what we call time, that's just us, our consciousness, moving through this already completed pattern. And this is where the conversation just completely blows up. We started with a fun little physics puzzle, but look where we are now. We are way, way past that. We're deep into metaphysics now, asking questions about the very fabric of reality. You see, that original question about traveling at light speed, it was never really the point. It was just a key. And the lock it opened? Well, the lock was reality itself. It just got us into this much bigger, much deeper conversation about existence and what it means to be conscious. So let's go back to that idea of zero time. Remember how the physics argument saw zero as just absence, an empty void? Well, this new perspective flips that completely on its head. In this view, zero isn't emptiness, it's completion. It's the point of totality, where every single possibility exists all at once. And out of that idea of totality, you get a really different picture of God. This isn't some being who steps in and messes with things, or who has preferences like we do. No. In this model, God is the system itself, the system of total potential, and its care is just allowing all possibilities to exist. Okay, but wait, this raises a massive question, doesn't it? If this God or system is totally neutral and just allows anything to happen, why isn't reality just complete and utter chaos? I mean, why does it seem like over time, things trend toward order, toward good, while evil or destructive patterns seem to just burn themselves out.
And that very question, that challenge, leads us to the final piece of the puzzle. It's a way of looking at everything that tries to make sense of suffering and struggle inside this massive system we call reality.
So here's the synthesis. The idea is that the system's care isn't some feeling, it's built into the structure of things. It's in the rules. Good isn't about morality, it's just what we call patterns that are stable and last. Evil is just a word for patterns that are unstable and eventually fall apart. And suffering? Well, suffering is the friction. It's the tension that pushes us and the whole system to learn and move away from those unstable, destructive patterns. The egg metaphor is perfect here. For the chick to hatch, for something new and more complex to be born, the old structure, the eggshell, has to be destroyed. It's a destructive act, for sure, but it's absolutely essential for any kind of growth. And all of this whole wild journey from physics to metaphysics, it leaves us with one last, very personal question. If the egg has to break for life to begin, how do we tell the difference between suffering that builds us up and suffering that just tears us down? Where's the line between the breaking that leads to growth and the breaking that just leaves us broken? Thank you so much for coming along on this pretty deep dive. We really, really appreciate you spending your time with us, thinking through these ideas. And all your comments, your likes, and shares, they honestly make a huge difference and let us keep exploring topics just like this. This discussion was made possible by our friends at digitizinghumanity.com. Our digital lives are so rich these days, but it raises a question: what happens to all that, our digital footprint, when we're gone? Well, digitizinghumanity.com is actually the world's first digital graveyard. What they do is encode your digital footprint into a unique AI, which creates this interactive memorial for your loved ones. It lets them connect with you, learn from you, and remember you in a whole new way. You can explore how to preserve a legacy over at digitizinghumanity.com.